Hi, today we're going to take a longer look at the Worksman Cycles PAV3. I came across this trike quite by accident. I had been looking for some way to wear out my little puppies, high energy, hyperactive, lovable little things, but need to be worn out twice a day. There's no way I could run with them. My knees are shot. So I was looking for a tricycle. I came across this on Craigslist and ran down and purchased it before I even knew what it was. I liked it because its design, it has a lower center of gravity than the old granny tricycles. Its longer frame makes it a little more stable. Its narrow wheelbase allows me to pass through places where probably the granny trikes may have had a problem. Its frame is just indestructible. I mean, these little monsters just pull me over everything. We've even gone over a downed palm tree, and the bike just keeps on going. I've attached their leash for Trikejoring to the neck here, where the reflector used to be. When I got the bike, there was no reflector there, so I just bent it back. Put the quick link on here, which is, a heavy-duty chain link, and you can unscrew this and take the leash off. This keeps it attached at a low center of gravity and makes it a little harder for them to turn me over, but that doesn't mean they can't. I got a stainless steel rod holder. This is normally used, of course, on boats, but it also worked perfectly for holding my flashlight. I just don't feel like bike headlights have enough lumen, so I wanted my trusty 1,000 lumen flashlight up front. Signal horn, when you pass people, sound your horn. Let them know you're coming. A simple rule, but no one seems to do it. I went with motorcycle mirrors over bicycle mirrors. They're far more stable, higher quality glass. Definitely worth, they're about the same price. You just got to look for them. The phone holder works for, because my phone falls out of my pocket. That's happened twice. But it's absolutely worthless for recording. It just shakes entirely too much. The little thumb shifter, Shimano thumb shifter for the 3-speed transmission. Right now the parking brake is set. Somebody was thinking there. I can set the parking brake, and then the dogs are pretty much have to stay with the trike. They can't pull it as easily. They can drag it, but they can't, take off down the road. I had to get a orthopedic little cushion here to sit on because, it's a nice seat. It really is. But if you're being bounced around at 20 miles an hour, you're really going to want a cushion there. Another thing I've done is I've added these bungee cords. This is excellent for loading the trike in the back of my truck because I put the nose in and then come around to the back and, pick it up by the frame. That's a really nice frame that the box sits on. That's stock. That comes on the Worksman Cycle. We'll get to that in a minute. But the bungee cords hold the handlebars straight when I pick it up the back end and push it into the truck. We got our little speedometer down here. The chain guard, as heavily built as this bicycle or tricycle is, chain guard leaves a little to be desired. It's thin. It's easily bent when you hit it with the heel of your shoe. In fact, I'm probably going to add spacers and move the pedals out an inch on each side. They recommend that I'm over 6'1", which they recommend should be on the stretch frame, the PAV stretch. But like I say, I didn't set out to buy a PAV3. I simply found this on Craigslist and made do. One of the things I've done to give myself a little more room is I've turned the steering head around backwards, which moved the steering handle from here to where it's at currently, which bought me a couple inches. Of course, I've slid the seat can be slid forward or back. Of course, it's been slid all the way back. And with the addition of this cushion, I sit a little higher. So for me, it works pretty well. I'm only 6'2", so I'm not that far over the limit. This thing is rated for 550 pounds. I only weigh under 200, so we've got a lot of leeway to work with. But this is really a heavy-duty frame. Drum brakes in the front, of course. Coaster brakes in the rear. 3-speed Shimano transmission. I've got my mom made me some cool flags. They say potcakes on them. But the problem is where they're mounted. The bottom of the tubing is loose. I'm going to have it welded if I can to keep it from moving, because it's able to move around. I've had to go back and pick up the flags. I've almost hit people in the face with them. So I don't usually use the flags until I can solve that problem. Another thing I've done is I've replaced this tire, mainly because the old one was in such a condition that when you hit the brakes, this is the one that locks up. And it had just, scalped it after about a month. So I put a new tire on there, and the new rubber in its condition is holding up much better. There's no flat spots on this tire. The far side and the front are still original, but I've changed out the inner tubes for the slime tubes, the puncture resistant tubes. These guys are up to running about 6 miles, and I'd hate to be 3 miles or 4 miles away from my truck and have a breakdown. So I try to prevent what we can. Future modifications are going to be to take off that 28 tooth sprocket and put on a 36. I'm going to start with a 36. The low gear is a little winky for me. And these guys, when they start running at full speed, the top gear, there's just not enough there. Because I don't want them carrying a full load all the time. I want them to run as fast as they can run, but their job isn't to pull my weight and this bicycle. I try to keep up with them the best I can. If it's level conditions and they're having fun, I'll let them go. But if we come to a hill or anything that would put strain on them, then I start pedaling. I tell you, it's almost bulletproof. The chain and sprocket are going to come off soon, and I can't say that's not from the overstrain that we've put on it. We go off road every chance they get, but as far as the frame, the axles, the bearings, it's damn near bulletproof. Okay, thanks for joining. Okay, a couple things I forgot to show. The bungee cords obviously don't stay here, and they are tied to the frame of the seat. So what I do is harder to do with one hand than two. Is I take them and I hook them down here on the chain guard, and that way they're out of the way, and I don't have to look for them. They're tied right there. In fact, they help hold the coyote stick in place. And let's see, the other thing I wanted to mention was the box. The reason I put the box on is because the basket, a wire basket bouncing around, things either go out of it or through it. And, you've got a lot of little stuff you need to carry with you. A basket just doesn't do the trick for me. So we've put this ammo box on there. It's waterproof. It's got the 2 little locks here on the side. And I've got a cable lock that goes through it to secure it when we're not near the bike. So, again, I tell you, it's a well-designed vehicle, well, with the exception of the chain guard, because, like I said before, it's a little winky. But you can get fenders for it, but I don't take them out in the rain that much. And the front fender, although it looks like it's been broken or cut, that's stock fender. But again, absolutely great bike, tricycle to pick up if you're looking to go trikejoring with your puppies.